This Family Life News podcast is made possible by the support of listeners like you.
Next on the 5 o'clock report.
There were flames on either side of us.
People are posting, I need size 6 shoes. That's how detailed it is.
President Carter was such a man of deep faith.
Last 12 years was a woke reign of terror.
Heating pants, heating shirt, heating gloves.
We have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of migrants here illegally convicted of crimes.
My name is Mr. Bubble. Now, let's go to the newsroom.
Good afternoon and welcome to the broadcast. I'm Family Life News anchor Sarah Harnish. The Pacific Palisades fire is now the most destructive blaze in Los Angeles history. 100,000 people have evacuated.
All of our landmarks, our schools, our grocery store, our churches, everything was on fire.
More than 1,000 structures have burned to the ground. Tricia Casento tried to escape but had to turn around.
There were flames on either side of us. The car was very quickly getting smoky. We had wet towels over our faces, and the cars ahead of us were not moving. All of this debris had fallen on the road. There were rocks and small boulders. I realized if I can't see, I might get caught.
President Biden is in Los Angeles for the birth of his great-grandchild. He was able to go in person to the firehouse for a debriefing this afternoon. Crews told him there's no firefighting happening with 100-mile-an-hour winds. Their only job until the wind calms down is to keep people alive.
Significance of multiple fires in the area within the city, but also the county.
Mr. President, what we saw here in the last 24 hours is unprecedented. I've never seen anything like this. Fires driven by the type of winds that we saw up to 100 miles an hour. Our role out there is strictly support, to be there for evacuations, to get people out of the affected area.
Andrew Gruhl was a former Food Network judge. He's opened his restaurant to serve hot meals and to coordinate to find people places to stay. He says the need is humbling.
What we're going to try and do is coordinate all of those donations from food, supplies, etc. I mean, people lose their houses. People are posting like, I need size 6 shoes. That's how detailed it is.
All 5 fires, 0% contained. Tens of thousands of people in a major American city have had no water in days. It's not from a water main break, but a water treatment plant in Richmond, Virginia that lost power. The governor there just held a press conference.
We are still under a boiled water advisory. So please do not consume that water without boiling it first.
This is day 2 without water, and fights are starting to break out in stores over bottled water. Former President Jimmy Carter is now lying in state in the U.S. Capitol Rotunda. The lines are long to say goodbye to the 39th President of the United States. This woman came from Michigan.
We're always big supporters of Jimmy Carter. I just wanted to pay my respects.
Washington National Cathedral's Reverend Randy Hollerith will host the funeral tomorrow.
President Carter was such a man of deep faith. It's especially wonderful for us to be able to host his service here.
NBC's Chris Pallone has details on what happens next.
President Carter will lie in state in the Capitol Rotunda until 7 o'clock tomorrow morning. Members of the public will be able to come to the Capitol around the clock until then to pay their respects.
After his state funeral, Carter will be buried next to his wife of 77 years, Rosa Lynn, in their hometown of Plains, Georgia. President-elect Donald Trump plans to meet privately tonight with Senate leaders in Washington. Senator John Cornyn will be there.
What we owe the American people who elected President Trump decisively in this last election is to move his agenda forward. And first thing we have to do is all get on the same page.
This evening's to-do list, border security and tax cuts. Next week, the Senate will get ready for confirmation hearings on some of Trump's cabinet picks. College professors are weighing in after Mark Zuckerberg announced Tuesday fact-checking is over at Facebook. Michael Schellenberger is the UT Austin Free Speech Chair.
Facebook wrongly censored people sharing side effects from the COVID vaccine. They wrongly censored the debate around COVID's origins. They censored the Hunter Biden laptop. So this is a welcome correction. And I think, bravo both to Elon Musk and to Donald Trump for helping to inspire it.
Pundits are asking, where was the backbone 3 years ago when people were saying things that later proved to be true?
Look, I think the last 12 years was a woke reign of terror. It created many victims of censorship, including Donald Trump, and we know Elon Musk was worried about being censored. It was part of the reason that he wanted to buy Twitter. So I do think that what we're seeing here is a return, though, to the norm. The American creed has at its center free speech. That's a big part of the reason why our founders created the United States of America. We put speech first before the government. We don't ask the government for permission for what to say. We decide who the government is based on our speech.
And drones haven't enjoyed a good reputation lately, but a thermal drone just saved a dog's life in Illinois. Charlie had been missing for a week.
Come on. Yes, we got him. We got him.
It turns out the pup was just 2 minutes from home, hidden in a field of tall grass. He was found by a heat sensor on a drone flying over his head. Now he's home thanks to a helpful eye in the sky. Still to come on the 5 o'clock report, the kickoff to the 2025 legislative session in Albany. Real IDs are happening really soon, and simplifying the faith, why sharing the gospel doesn't require you to be a missionary. A sit down with Liberty University. Those stories after weather with Kevin Williams.
For tonight and tomorrow, partly cloudy in central and eastern Pennsylvania with a stray flurry. Elsewhere, variably cloudy with flurries. There'll be some lake snow, targeting areas southeast of Lake Ontario where several additional inches of fluff could fall. Still some blowing and drifting for a while tonight in outlying and open areas. Low tonight, dropping toward 10, the high tomorrow in the 20s. On Friday, some sunshine, high temps nearing 30. Some snow at times Friday night going into Saturday.
Thank you, Kevin. Checking the stories and making news where you live across New York and Pennsylvania. The one thing on our mind right now, it is 17 degrees at our studios in balmy Bath, New York. Folks in the Family Life listening area are seeing the coldest air in over a year today.
Oh, man, it's really cold. It's windy, and there's a lot of ice.
Heating pants, heating shirt, heating gloves.
It's freezing. Look, right now is not the time for anybody to be outside. It's freezing. If you can stay inside, stay inside.
22 degrees. Tomorrow, 28 for a high on Friday. Experts say when it's as cold as it is today, it doesn't take long for frostbite to set in. 30 minutes or less. Pennsylvania's junior U.S. Senator is urging fellow Democrats to back the House-passed Laken-Riley Act, named for the 22-year-old Georgia student who was killed last year by an illegal Venezuelan immigrant. The legislation calls for deporting illegal immigrants charged with nonviolent crimes.
It's really common sense. We have hundreds and hundreds of thousands of migrants here illegally convicted of crimes. And why? I don't know why. Who wants to defend to allow them to remain in our nation?
Senator John Fetterman, 159 House Democrats voted against the measure. Riley's brutal murder became a flashpoint in the 2024 presidential campaign. The Senate may vote on Friday, which would have been Riley's 23rd birthday. Today marks the start of the 2025 legislative session in Albany. New York State lawmakers are expected to act on bills addressing everything from mental illness to climate change to school aid. Governor Hochul's State of the State speech will happen next Tuesday. She'll talk a lot about how to make New York a more affordable place to live.
We want to give everybody that lift up that they need, especially in those early tough years. We want to support our families, not make them feel they have to leave our state because everything was so expensive from housing to childcare.
The 6-month legislative session lasts through the middle part of June. Starting May 7th, you'll need a real ID if you want to fly anywhere. It's a security upgrade on your driver's license. Monroe County, New York clerk Jamie Romeo.
We don't want to put our friends at the airport or the TSA or anyone in a position where May 7th is going to come. You don't have what you need and you're not able to get onto that plane.
It'll cost $65 for a real ID, about the same as it would if you were renewing your driver's license. Andy Moore is director of the Frederick Douglass Greater Rochester International Airport.
Anyone age 18 and older will have to have a real ID or an enhanced ID in order to travel domestically.
For more information about how to update your driver's license so you have a real ID, contact your county DMV office. Next at 5, Christians who want to do good in the world don't need to differentiate between sharing the gospel and meeting human needs. Local mission leader Darren Hersick tells Family Life that the missions are intertwined. Let's listen in.
If you opened up any page in Scripture, the main character on that page is either going to be the poor, the widow, orphan, or sojourner, or they happen to be standing right next to the main character. When you read Scripture, the people with needs are in the story. They're on the page. Most of Jesus' interactions, he shared a truth, but he also took care of a physical need. He did those two together. And I think Jesus cares about the whole person. So anytime we're out there addressing a physical need, a social need, an emotional need, they always create the opportunity for a gospel conversation. Or if you start with a gospel conversation, it's probably going to lead to there's a physical need or emotional need. So you're always going to end up at the same place because Jesus cared about all of it because he cared about the whole person.
Darren, God called you and your family all over the world, but we can serve right down the street, across the highway, in our classrooms. We need to know, though, what are the needs in our specific communities and where it would really help to plug in.
So as I'm working with students that desire to work around the world, my answer is always, well, okay, here's what we're going to do. We're going to start where you are because those skills are transferable. But I think the key point in this is we have to be intentional for our lives to intersect those in need. So the first way is really identify those lives that you know that could benefit from your time and concern. It could be someone in your church. Perhaps they're no longer able to attend. Perhaps someone has lost a spouse. Perhaps it's a single mom that you know. Perhaps it's a student that's struggling. God has placed you in your community for a reason. Identify who those people are. And I'm going to give you a second way. Partner with another local organization. Could be a nonprofit, could be a school. The last 3 years, I've been involved in an assisted living facility. I started with the question, how can I help? And so I play an activity, recreational activity with them. And through that, every Friday afternoon, I know people's names and their stories, and I've really been able to enter into their life. Some are believers and some are not. And it's just opened this door to a whole new group of people.
You can subscribe, listen to, and share the full podcast interview with Darren Hersick, Director of Global Missions for Liberty University, and all of Family Life's original podcasts at Apple Podcasts, Spotify, YouTube, or at familylife.org. Time next for tonight's market report brought to you by Faithward Advisors. Wall Street is closing with stocks mixed. At the final bell, the Dow Jones Industrial Average gained 106 points to 42,653. The S&P 500 rose by 9 points to 59,18, and the Nasdaq fell by 10 points to 19,478. Faithward Advisors is a Christian financial planning firm online at faithwardadvisors.com.
Hi, I'm Rob West with the Faith and Finance Minute. On this date, January 8th, back in the year 1987, the Dow Jones Industrial Average finally broke the 2,000-point barrier. 14 long years after it hit the 1,000 mark. Many of the experts said 2,000 would likely be the high water mark and the market would fall again. Instead, the market barreled forward in one of the biggest bull runs in history. And just 4 years later, it hit the 3,000 mark. Here's the point. Even the experts, the most knowledgeable and best informed people, can't predict the stock market. That means you and I can't predict it either. So the best approach is to take the long-term view and invest regularly through all the ups and downs, and in the end, you'll likely come out ahead. Get biblical answers to your financial questions in the Faith Fi community. Download Faith Fi, Faith and Finance in your app store or visit faithfi.com.
Coming up on the 5 o'clock report, it's time to drown a news anchor. Mark Webster on deck next with National Bubble Bath Day. Kevin Williams now with weather.
Here is your Family Life regional weather forecast. We're locked into this winter pattern, and there'll be some additional lake flakes tonight and tomorrow, and throughout the region, plenty of cold air. The night tonight features brisk winds, partly cloudy skies, still some lake effect snow and flurries. A couple of more inches that will fall in parts of central New York particularly. Low temps dropping toward 10. Thursday will be another chilly day, clouds and sun with flurries, still some lake snow, especially central New York. High temperatures, upper teens to mid-20s. That activity will fade and the weather will turn less harsh by the end of the week, but a southern storm will graze us with some more snow Friday night going into Saturday.
Thank you, Kevin. Finally, at 5, happy National Bubble Bath Day. Let's soak in these facts from Family Life's Mark Webster.
My name is Mr. Bubble. Let me show you tons of fun.
Yeah, nothing quite as relaxing as a frothy soak. Just why is that? One study suggests it's partly due to the combination of surfactants and hypothermic action, which ups body temperature and stimulates metabolism, all adding up to a cleaner bill of health.
Or maybe it's simply being able to lock out the cold, cruel world for a while, where it's just you and Mr. Bubble, who, by the way, made his debut as Powdered Bath Flakes in 1961. No
news anchors were heard in the creation of this newscast. And that's the world that we live in for Wednesday, the 8th of January. I'm Sarah Harnish, and this is the 5 o'clock report on Family Life.
Thank you for listening to this Family Life News podcast. If you've been encouraged by what you've heard, please share it with others and click the subscribe button to automatically receive future episodes. Family Life is a listener-supported ministry. Podcasts like this are made possible by your financial partnership. Find out more at familylife.org.